Good evening, students. This is your mentor Shivani Sharma from mentorpati.com. I hope I'm audible to all. Kindly respond through the comment box if you all can hear me. Students, am I audible? Please respond through the chat box. If you all are able to hear me, please respond to the chat box. I'm waiting for a confirmation from your side so that we can start. Hi, Shivani. Hi, Preet. Good evening. So this is going to be a very, very jam-packed session today where we have a lot of new things to understand and discuss. And I'm sure that all of you are, a bit anxious. Reason being that you all are appearing for your Infosys campus drive, isn't it? How many of you are appearing for the same? How many of you have registered yourself for the campus drive of Infosys? All right. So those of you who do not have an access or who want me to discuss the eligibility criteria for this, right? So let me just talk about, right? So I just want to show, right? So let me just show this to you that what is the eligibility criteria for Infosys. I hope that you all can see the screen. Are you all able to see the screen? Is the screen visible, students? All right, so let me just talk about the eligibility for Infosys first. As you all are preparing for the same, let me just talk about this. So all those students who are freshers and they are from BE or BTech or ME, MTech, MCA or MSc streams, right? All the fresher students of 2021 batch, they can apply for the role of systems engineer, right? So the profile that you'll be getting is that of a systems engineer, and you will be able to fill out the Infosys off campus recruitment form by Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. All right. Are you people not able to see the screen? Can you all see the PowerPoint presentation that I'm showing? Is the PowerPoint visible to students? All right, great. Thank you so much for confirming, Preet. I thought that it is not visible, so I was just rechecking. All right. Now, just have a look at the other criteria, right? So the eligibility criteria to apply for this program, again, the same thing, right? But there are only 4 branches from which students can apply, these being computer science, electronics, mathematics, and statistics, right? The academic criteria is also shared. I'll be showing the academic criteria also. All percentage and CGPA, right? They are not expecting a very high percentage or CGPA. Rather, they expect a simple average for all subjects, semesters, and years, including electives, optional subjects, additional subjects, practical subjects, and languages, right? Only 2021 graduates are eligible to apply. Candidates should not have participated in the Infosys Limited or Infosys Group Company selection process in the last 6 months, and there should be no backlogs. Backlogs means no back papers. You should have a clear mark sheet without any backlogs, and average percentage in all the subjects and semesters would go. Right? So I hope that the criteria is clear to everybody. Now let us talk about how the selection process will happen. So the selection process for these roles will be conducted online in 2 steps. First is an Infosys online test. So all those students who are eligible to participate in this, they need to fill the form within the deadline. And you know what is the deadline? The deadline is tomorrow. So if you want to appear for the Infosys online test, you have to complete your registration by 20th of July. That is tomorrow. Right? So for the online test, that is step 1, there are total 5 sections. Reasoning ability, there will be 15 questions of reasoning ability, and for which you will be getting 25 minutes to solve that. Then section 2 is technical ability. There will be 10 questions on technical ability, and you'll be getting 35 minutes to do so. Then section 3 is verbal ability. There will be 20 questions and 20 minutes to do so. Pseudocode, 5 questions and 10 minutes, and 4 numerical puzzle which are supposed to be solved in 10 minutes. Right? So students, I know that all of you are preparing for this, prestigious drive. So MentorBuddy has come up with a lot of technical support for you people in terms of providing you 3 mock test papers to prepare for your Infosys campus drive, right? So I hope that objective or how it is going to happen, it's clear to everybody that how this entire process will happen, right? Now let me just show you some other information regarding the same. Right, to sum up the entire thing, have a look at this. Right, this talks about all in a nutshell again. Systems engineer is the position across India. This is going to be the interview will also happen to virtual mode, and most importantly, which you all are thinking, what is going to be the salary package? So the package would be 3.6 LPA. Eligibility criteria again remain the same. All the graduates from computer science, electronics, mathematics, and statistics who are completing their degree in 2021 can apply. All percentage CGPA should be simple average for all subjects, semesters, years, no backlogs. Only graduates from 2021 can apply. Those candidates who have applied for the selection process in the last 6 months, they are not allowed to apply again. Right? So the compensation that is offered for the role of system engineer is 3.60 lakh per annum, and additional benefits you'll also be getting, that is 4 lakh per annum, and a life cover of 30 lakhs per annum. Right, selection process is going to be a 2-step process. Step 1 being an online assessment test, and step 2 being interviews that will be virtual. Test pattern I've also already discussed. Again, to reiterate, there'll be 5 sections, and today in this class we are going to start with verbal ability, where out of the 3 mock papers available on MentorBuddy website, we'll be taking up one of the test papers and we'll be solving few questions of verbal ability. We'll try to complete the maximum in the session today. Right? Once again, students, keep in mind the deadline All those who are interested and are eligible, you need to apply for the Infosys off campus drive before 20th of July. This is an off campus drive. Anyone and everyone can apply for the same. But remember, tomorrow is the deadline to apply for it. Right? Now, once you have completed the application, the second most important thing is how you are going to prepare for the same, isn't it? So now in the class today, we are going to help you in preparing for your campus placement. And how we are going to do that, I'll just tell you, right? So how many of you are aware of Pentapathy website and are having login credentials for the same? I hope everybody. Right now, I also come across a lot of questions from the students in terms of that how can you register for the webinar. So students, for your Infosys Drive, we will be organizing a lot of sessions, right, for your benefit. So you will be getting a link to the coming up sessions also, right here only from the platform where you are attending the class today. You will be getting a link for the upcoming webinars also here, right? So you can join for the remaining webinars from this channel only, and I'm sure all of you are going to attend the same, right? So let me just share this. Now, once you will open Mentability website, you will find, are you able to see the screen? I think the screen is visible to all. Right. So once you will open the Mentability website and you need to drag it down, you will find Infosys Off Campus 2021. Right. The moment you will click on this, you will find a few mock tests that are available over here for your benefit. Right. What you have to do is you have to, apply for any, or you can start any of the mock tests. You can appear for the same and you can check for yourself how good you are at it, right? Or how we can be beneficial for you in terms of applying for Infosys, right? So before I could really take you through the verbal ability test, I just want to check from you. Do you people have any questions so far from the details of Infosys that I have just now shared? Any questions, students? I'll just be starting with a verbal ability test for you all. Just a minute, there's some technical issue. Allow me some time. Right. So, students, before I could really start, I just want to connect with you in terms of understanding that what are the most problematic areas of verbal ability that you all find. There will be around 15 questions of verbal ability as I have discussed with you just now. So, and you will be getting 15 minutes time to solve those 15. There will be 20 questions on verbal ability and you'll be getting 20 minutes time to solve the verbal ability questions, right? So I just want to check from you all, which particular section do you think is most difficult for you? Yes, students, which particular section is most difficult? Or what do you find that, out of these 20 questions, these are my strong areas, I'll be able to score well? or these are my weak areas, I will not be able to do it. Come on, I'm waiting for the answer so that I can take up the questions accordingly. If you feel RC is the most typical part, I'll start with RC only. If you feel that there are other sections which are more important or more difficult, then we can start with that, right? Okay. So Puneet is saying weak with problem solving. Thank you so much for sharing. Numbering. Okay. That means sequencing, right, Puneet? All right. And what about other students? What about other students? Okay. So you all seem to be comfortable. All right. So let me just start with this. Right. So let's start the second mock test first. So we'll simply go to start test and right. So these are the instructions that you will be getting first, right? You are supposed to go through all these instructions very carefully. See, students, I'm solving this paper along with you so that you can understand and you will not be repeating any sort of mistakes while doing the same, right? So after going through the or reading all the instructions, go to next, right? It is showing that 25% marks will be deducted for each wrong answer, right? And in all, there are 5 sections in this mock test, as we have just not talked about. So we'll be taking up verbal ability for the class today, right? And as I told you, that you will be getting link to the upcoming webinars here only for your Infosys campus preparation, as Mentor Buddy has brought a lot of webinars and mock tests that are available for you. I'm sure everybody is having Mentor Buddy mail ID and password. So I'm not taking reasoning ability and we will directly go to verbal ability, right? But it is not allowing me to do so. I'm just save and next, save and next, save and next. No, right? So all right, so it is not allowing me to go to the next section. Right. As we have to discuss the question, so all right. So the first question here says, seemingly dash details may sometimes contain important clues. Seemingly dash details may sometimes contain important clues. So we have 4 options right here, right? So here what we have to do is we have to start with, right. So I have switched on the reattempt mode because I don't want you all to see the answers. So I'm giving you 1 minute time so that you all can go through this and suggest what is the right answer. Yes, students, what is the right answer for this? Seemingly dash details may sometimes contain important clues. Seemingly considerable details or seemingly inconsequential, inconsequential, significant, gory, or none of the above. So, how we are going to solve this? First, I just want to check from you all what is the answer that you have got. What do you think is the correct answer here? Yes? I'm in second year and I've just started to. Am I eligible for the Infosys campus preparation? No, only those students, Ganesh, who have completed or who are freshers and are going to complete their degree in 2021, they are eligible for the drive. Okay, so Puneet says considerable. What about others? What do you think is the correct answer, students? I'm just waiting for other students also to respond. Please quickly tell me the answer so that we can proceed. So in these kind of questions, basically, the first word of the sentence plays an important role, right? How you're going to solve this? Let me just talk about this also. How do you want to go? I think first let us try to solve all the questions and then I'll help you with the answers, isn't it? Because if we'll keep on discussing each answer one by one, how do you think we should go ahead, students? How do you think we should go ahead with this? Complete the sentence with every word in option. All right. Okay, not an issue. Right. So if we just focus on this particular sentence, right, it says seemingly dash details may sometimes contain important clues. Right. Now, as this sentence is starting with the word seemingly, right? So that clearly shows that details which the sentence is talking about, they are almost insignificant, right? But they might contain something that is important, right? It can have something as an important information or as an important clue also, right? So that is what we meant by the sentence. Now, if we just focus on other words, so the first word says considerable. So seemingly considerable details may sometime contain, right? Now, considerable means notably, right? Something which is very conspicuous, something that is very clearly visible, right? So that doesn't make much of a sense here. If we look at the third word that says significant, it means sufficiently great, right? Or something that is very important that you can notice. If you look at the last word, it says gory. Gory means involving or showing violence and bloodshed. Right. Now, again, this is something which does not seem to be very, very valid because we are looking for an option which can fit with the word seemingly, and where it is talking about something which might be insignificant but may sometimes contain important clues, right? So in that context, if we look at the word inconsequential, now inconsequential means something that is not important or not significant, right? So now if you are going to put option B over here, it clearly serves the purpose that however unimportant a particular detail may seem to be, but it might contain a very important clue. All right. So the correct answer for this particular question is inconsequential. Is it clear, students? Is it clear? Let's move on to the next question. The next question says, Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman begins a 3-day visit to France on Thursday, during which both sides are expected to dash on further boosting their already close defense and security ties. Right? The question is very, very clear and simple. Now, here sometimes you will come across few words or few sentences or the options which might seem to be very relevant, very close in meaning, but then you have to take care of the sorry, but then you have to also take care of the context. Remember, verbal ability is not a test of your English skills only. Rather, it is how you are able to apply wisdom also, the logical reasoning behind putting a particular word there. Right? So here we are talking about a scenario where Nirmala Sitharaman is going for a 3-day visit to France, right? And both the parties, that means both India and France, are expected to dash. Now, if we look at option A, it is saying debate, right? Okay, now before I could give you an answer, I just want from you all, what do you think is the correct answer for this? What do you think is the correct answer for this, Puneet? What about other students? What is the correct answer for the students? All right, so let me just talk about why a particular answer or option is right or wrong. Right now, we are talking about both the sides are expected to further boost. Right now, if you focus on the first word, it says debate. Now, debate is generally done where you have, two parties or two people having conflicting ideas, right? Whereas what we are talking about, we are talking about something that is going to help us in boosting our defense ties and security ties, right? So debate is something which is out of question. Now, look at the second option, which means deliberate. What do we mean by deliberate? Deliberate means when you are thinking about, when you are thinking over something, you are mulling over something or discussing over something, right? And with a very wise approach by thinking very carefully over it, right? That is what we mean by deliberate. Now, if we focus on the context, this particular context is conveying that the ministers of both the countries, right, they are going to meet and they are going to discuss about the already closed defense and security ties. That means they are trying to explore something which is already closed. So that means they are going to think over it wisely, right? So deliberate seems to be a better option, but we'll park it and we'll see what are the other options. Never come to a conclusion just by that in, a correctly or fill in the blank with the correct word or phrase. Also explore other options. Now the third word says bicker. Now the word bicker means to argue about petty and small issues. Small issues means trivial issues. Right. Now again, if we are going to argue about trivial issues, right, do you think both the parties would be able to come to a place where already closed defense and security ties can be revitalized? Never, right? Dictate, of course, it's a meeting to discuss points. So dictate and demonstrate are totally out of question. So we have got the correct answer to this particular question as option B, that is deliberate, right? Because they are meeting, right, Puneet? So deliberate is going to be the option and not debate. So the correct answer is deliberate. Clear? Now, look at the third question. The skydiving company tries to reduce the skydiving company tries to reduce its dash to lawsuits by having customers sign a risk waiver beforehand. Yes, the skydiving company tries to reduce its dash to lawsuits by having customers sign a risk waiver beforehand. Kibble, meander, losses, vulnerability, or revenue. Right. Now, if we just want to have a look at first, let us try to understand the meaning of first word, which I'm sure most of you are not aware of. So the first word here says kibble. Now, this particular word kibble means to grind or chop something. So, right, just knowing the meaning of this particular word conveys that this doesn't suit the sentence, right? The skydiving companies tries to reduce its kibble out of the question. To reduce its meander, what do we mean by meander? I'm sure all those who have studied properly in their school days, they know what is a meander, right? So meander can be bend of a river. It can also be, a bending road, or meander also refers to a winding curve, right? So definitely meander is out of question. Now, if we look at the losses we are aware of, so the skydiving company tries to reduce its losses to lawsuits. Now, if there would not have been a two after this blank, probably losses could have been a better choice. But we also have see whenever you try to look out for a word in a in a fill in the blank kind of a thing, a phrase or a particular word which can suit it, always focus on one word ahead that blank and one word after that blank. It will help you in coming to a right choice. Right. So to reduce its losses by having customers sign is fine. But to reduce its losses to lawsuits, it's not an appropriate usage. Right. Revenue will not be a good choice out here. Right. So definitely we are left with, because see why revenue is not a good choice. No company would like to lower down its revenues, right? So we are left with the best choice over here, and that is vulnerability, right? So if we just try to fit in this word, it says the skydiving company tries to reduce its vulnerability to lawsuits by having customers sign a risk waiver beforehand. Clear? Right. Now let's move on to another very interesting question. What you have to do is you have to match column A and column B. Whenever you are exposed to these kind of questions, my sincere advice is to read the instructions very carefully, because sometimes students do not read the instructions properly and then they land up in trouble. Right? So it says that in the following question, there are two columns, right, which contain three phrases each. In the first column, we have phrases A, B, and C, and in the second column, phrases D, E, and F. A phrase from the first column may or may not connect with a phrase from the second column to make a grammatically and contextually correct sentence. Now, there are five options, four of which display the sequence in which the phrases can be joined to form a grammatically and contextually correct sentence. If none of the options given forms a correct sentence after combination, select none of these as your answer. So we have to select the best possible connections, right? So if we focus on option A, it says the Supreme Court has sternly, right? This is, the phrase A. And the first option says phrase D along with it. So the Supreme Court has sternly scolded me for not finishing my assignment, right? Now, how far do you think this can be the answer? Contextually, do you see, grammatically this is fine, but contextually this is incorrect. So we are not taking it as an option. Now look at the second option. It says the advisory issued by the medical council states that malaria can become an epidemic if adequate precautions are not taken. Right now, this seems to be both grammatically and contextually correct because it is talking about an advisory that has been issued by the medical council, and along with that it is talking about malaria. So medical council is the one which is an authority to talk about health conditions or health problems like malaria, right? So B and F combination seems to be both grammatically and contextually correct. Look at the other option. It says the English teacher scolded me for not finishing my assignment. Now, this also seems to be contextually and grammatically correct. Let us have a look at the option A, F, and C, E. So, AF says the Supreme Court has sternly states that malaria. Now, here, if you just focus grammatically, this first phrase is wrong. The Supreme Court has sternly states, no, the Supreme Court sternly states or has sternly stated, right? So this seems to be an unobvious, not a choice. Option 4 says B and D. It means the advisory issued by the medical council scolded me for not finishing my assignment. Again, that is an inappropriate grammatical and contextual usage. None of the above, of course, is not the answer, as we have got the correct answer as option B. So what is the correct answer that we have got? B, F, and C, D are the correct choices, both contextually and grammatically also. Clear? Do you think that these are very easy ones? Right? Isn't it? These are really the easy ones to solve. Sometimes you might come across questions like this as well, where just with a good amount of wisdom and properly looking at the context and the grammar part, you can get the correct answer to your questions. Right? Now let us have a look at this question number 5. Question number 5 again is of a similar kind. So first have a look at option A and D. I think now we are familiar with this and we are going to do it a little fast. Owing to the rising inflation rates, I finally decided to go visit a doctor. Absurd, right? It's not a right answer because rising inflation rates has got nothing to do with visiting a doctor. An absolute no choice. After being unwell for over a week, the government has decided to take strict action against hoarders. Not a choice. Only when the police officers came to his house, I finally decided to go visit a doctor. Again, grammatically incorrect. Owing to the rising inflation rates, the government has decided to take strict action against hoarders. Right? So the correct answer is option A and E because this particular sentence is both grammatically and contextually correct. So that gives us the best choice, isn't it? Now, a very interesting part of verbal ability. Now, here in these kind of closed test, you will get 5 or 6 or 7 depending upon the paper. You'll get blanks. Here, as you can see, you have 5 blanks, and for each blank space, you will be getting some choices. Sorry, you'll be getting some choices. I'm giving you 1 minute time to go through it. So generally in these kind of questions, students, if you look at this entire paragraph and you are able to get the answers correctly, you have to understand the entire paragraph, and then only you'll be able to provide the answer for the same, because all the lines are interconnected. So I would suggest to go for a quick reading before you start answering these kind of questions, and try to get the overall idea of the passage, right? And once you get an overall idea, it will become easier for you to answer the correct, in the correct manner for each of the questions, right? Because you'll be able to figure out what the writer actually, or what the passage actually wants to say, right? So let us quickly have a read. Despite India's fast economic growth and poverty reduction over the past few decades, food insecurity remains very high. A detailed study of how the Indian government manages food insecurity suggests that the key to dash the problem lies in the nourishment and sanitation of children in their first 1000 days of life. Now, hold on. What are we talking about? We are talking about that India is improving, but at the same time, there's food insecurity that is creating a lot of problem. Now, if you just focus, so they are talking about a detailed study of how the Indian government manages food insecurity. That means we are talking about the solution to our problem. And what is the key to that? What is the solution? That the key to dash the problem lies in the nourishment and sanitation, right? So these two are the answers. So what are we doing here? Are we trying to aggravate the problem? That is option C. Are we trying to compound the problem, or excessive So the option A here says exacerbate, option B says resolve, option C says aggravate, option D says compound, and option E says none of the above. So I think clearly we can come to the solution that as we are talking about the solutions to a particular problem, so we are going to resolve the problem. So the correct answer to this particular question is option B, that is resolve, right? Now we have got so much, almost half of the paragraph clearly. So despite India's fast economic growth and poverty reduction over the past few decades, food insecurity remains very high, and a detailed study of how the Indian government manages food insecurity suggests that the key to resolve the problem lies in the nourishment and sanitation of children in their first 1000 days of life, from dash to their second birthday. Right. So we are talking about the nourishment of these children and sanitation of these children. And we are clearly mentioning their first 1000 days of life. Right. So 1000 days of life, that means from dash to their second birth. So roughly, if we count 3 years, so almost roughly it will come to 1000, right? So if we want to count 1000, days to their second birthday, and if we go backward, that means from the time of conception. So if we count from conception to the second year, it will cover 1000 hours, right? So the correct answer to this particular question, or blank, is conception. Why we are not taking annihilation? Because annihilation means complete destruction. Here we are talking about not the destruction. From destruction to the second birthday cannot be so. Abduction, again, what do we mean by abduction? Abduction means when you are taking somebody forcibly, right? Out, without the will. Amelioration, what do we mean by amelioration? To ameliorate means to improve something or to make something better. Now, here, if we look at the context, we are talking about the tenure of a child's life, right? And we are talking about 1000 hours. So, if we'll go backward, so from 2 years, if we want to count 1000 hours, that will be from the conception of the child, right? So, the correct answer for this particular question is conception. I hope that it's clear to all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me through the chat box. Now look at this, right? So we have clearly got the two answers, right? So a detailed study of how the Indian government manages food insecurity suggests that the key to resolve the problem lies in the nourishment and sanitation of children in their first 1000 days of life from conception to their second birthday and in providing support to poor pregnant women. Many poor Indian women bear heavy workloads throughout their pregnancies, which dash both their own and their unborn children's nourishment. Right. Now, if we are talking about, imagine a situation when we are saying that the poor Indian women, to survive, they are just carrying heavy workload throughout their pregnancies, right? So what do you think, is it going to have a positive impact on them and their unborn babies nourishment, or it is going to have a negative impact on something, right? So definitely we are looking for a negative word. Sustain cannot be the answer, because sustain is a positive word which means growth or progress. Nurture again is something, sorry, nurture means to, to grow something, right? To make something positive in terms of improving development, right? Sustain, again, something that you are going to support. So again, we are looking for a negative word. Compromise. Now compromise can be a choice because it means to weaken, to damage, or to harm, right? But why we are saying that it is not a good fit here, because if you look at the context, which compromises both their own and their unborn children's nourishment, is not a good choice, because the sentence where we are having blank C, it talks about how many poor Indian women bear heavy workloads throughout their pregnancy and what sort of detrimental impact it is having on their own and their unborn children's nourishment, right? So in that context, if we focus, compromise is a good enough option for this, right? So I think there is some mistake over here, right? So I'll ask the mentor buddy team to rectify the same. The correct answer over here has to be compromise, right? And not none of the above. I think there is some, some editing error. I'll inform mentor buddy team about the same. Right. Now have a look at the next one. So many poor Indian women bear heavy workloads throughout their pregnancies, which compromises both their own and their unborn children's nourishment. As a result of the nutritional dash, I think the answer is very much clear to everybody. What is the answer, students? I hope everybody has got the correct answer. It is crystal clear to everybody. We say that crystal clear, right? So, since women are not able to take care of themselves, so as a result of this, and nutritional amenities, of course, would not be there, prodigies, endeavors, but the only thing that they are suffering from is nutritional deficiency, isn't it? So once you have got the entire essence of the extract, it will become easier for you to answer the questions. Now, quickly look at the last one, right? So, nutritional deficiencies in pregnancy. A large number of children in India are born very small. That just happens because of the nutritional deficiency, isn't it? The WHO recommends dash infants diet with solid or semi-solid food after 6 months of age when breast milk alone no longer meets their nutritional needs. I think again the answer is very clear to all. What is the answer, students? What are we going to do with the infants' food or the diet that infants are taking? We are going to supplement it with solid and semi-solid food, right? So the correct answer for this is supplementing. I think it was very clear just from getting the idea of the passage. So I'm not going into much detail so that we can cover at least 3 to 4 more questions. Now again, these questions are very easy. It's just that you have to understand this. First, read the instructions very carefully in the following sentence. A part of the sentence is underlined. Below are given alternatives which may improve the sentence. If you feel that there is no improvement required, then you will always have option E, that is no improvement. Otherwise, you can always suggest an improvement which you feel can be there. Clear? So my car broke off on the way back home today, and we could not even find a service center. Now, if you are a good reader and you have knowledge of good idioms and phrases, right? So you can clearly understand that what the examiner wants to say is in terms of that the car is stopped, right? So the correct phrasal verb here has to be broke down. So the correct phrasal verb when you talk about that a machine has stopped working, so that is broke down and not broke off, right? So the correct answer for this particular question is broke down. It is as simple as that, and there's no shortcut to it, right? You just have to memorize few phrasal verbs. We have done in the past a series of verbal ability sessions that must also be available on Mentor Buddy website. I have also done a session on phrasal verbs there. If you want, you can just go through it. That will be really helpful for you in attending all these questions, right? So these all questions are very very easy, and you can simply get good points in this, isn't it? Now look at this. When it gets dark, you need to switch over the lights. It's just a question based on common sense. When it gets dark, what do? We switch on the light, isn't it? So this seems to be another, a cakewalk. So switch on is the answer. I'm not going in detail. Switch over, of course, is incorrect because the correct phrasal verb, you just have to put in a correct phrasal verb here. Nothing has to be done. I was looking forward for meeting the US client this week. Yes, students, I was looking forward for meeting the US client this week. So what is the correct phrase? Looking forward for, or looking forward to, or just looking forward, or looking forward in? What do you think? So the correct phrasal verb, I'm sure all of you have got it correct by now. So the correct phrasal verb is looking forward to, right? So what is the meaning of this phrasal verb? This means that you are very happy about the incident that is going to happen. You are happy about something that is going to happen, right? So the correct answer over here is looking forward to. That is the first option. All right. Now again, let us have a look at the instructions first in order to understand the questions properly. Right, so these particular set of questions says in the question given below, the sentence is divided into 3 parts, and for each part an alternate statement is given. You have to determine if a part requires correction and then mark that as your answer. So if you look at this, it says the reduction in interest rates could also strengthen the expansionary phase and help to India to achieve a GDP growth of nearly 10% by encouraging the housing sector through lower monthly installments. Now, if we just focus on the first part, it says, or the options that are given over here, says the reduction in interest rates could also strengthen the expansionary phase, right? So that means no changes are suggested. Look at the second one. It says, and help to India to achieve a GDP growth of nearly 10% by encouraging and the housing sector through lower monthly installments. Right now, you have to answer which particular section do you think requires a change. So, students, if you just focus on it carefully, you will find that the error lies in part 1 and 2. And what is the error? As soon as you will read this, you will find is strengthened. Whereas the word that is required over here is strengthen. The reduction in interest rates could also strengthen the expansionary phase, right? So that means part 1 has an error. Now, another, why, on what basis am I saying? Because there is a modal verb used here, and that modal verb is could. So with the modals as a rule of English language, we always make use of the first form of verb, that is strengthen. Right now, if we focus on part 2, now part 2 is making use of to and help to India to achieve a GDP growth, right? So we have to delete this word to before help, right? Because this is infinitive, so we will say and help India to achieve a GDP growth, right? Whereas if we look at the third part of the sentence, the housing sector through lower monthly installments, right? So part 3 is grammatically correct and it does not require any correction. So we have got our answer as part 1 and 2 are containing a grammatical error. So the correct answer for this question is option D. Clear? Now let's have a look at question number 15, which will be the last question for the day. And for the remaining questions, we'll meet in the next class. Right? We'll be having one more session on verbal ability where I'll complete this mock test paper and we'll be doing one more. So for your convenience, as I told you earlier also, there are 3 mock tests which are available on Mentor Buddy. So you always can go through these mock tests and you can attend all the webinars which will be available for your benefit. You will be getting a link on this channel only from where you are attending my class today. Right? So let us have a look at this. In the ensuing year, given that the projected inflation rate is expected to be less than 4% and real interest rate in the range of 3% plus, there is scope for further reduction of nominal interest rates. Right? So I hope everybody has got the answer. If you just look at option, the part 1 and part 2 does not contain any error in the ensuing year or in the coming year, given that the projection of inflation rate was expected to be less than 4% and the real interest rate in the range of 3% plus, right? There is scope for further reduction in nominal interest rates. Now, part 3 uses of, which is incorrect here. It should be rather in. Right? So, there is a scope for further reduction in nominal interest rates has to be the correct answer. So, therefore, the correct answer for this question is also option number 3. So, 3% plus, there is a scope for further reduction in nominal interest rates. Right? So that's it. We have completed so far 15 questions. If you want, okay. So here on we have the next 5 questions on RC, that is reading comprehension. Try to follow the strategy that we have used for cloze test and you will be able to, get to the answers of these questions. Just do a superficial reading, try to understand what the passage wants to say, try to get to the underlying idea of each paragraph and what is the flow of thoughts. So the moment you are able to understand the flow of thoughts, even you have not understood the entire concept in detail, that is fine. But if you are able to get the crux and the essence of the paragraph, you will be able to get all 5 correct, believe me. RCs are really very good to score because if you have understood it properly, you have got all five correct. And there's no shortcut to it. You need to be an avid reader if you want to solve reading comprehensions properly, right? So, with these words, I would like to end the class here. I hope it was useful for all, right? And we are going to have another session this week only. You'll be coming to know about the session whenever we are going to have it. All the good wishes. Students, please do register yourself very quickly as the deadline is 20th July only. And stay tuned with Mentor Buddy channel if you want to improve your preparation for Infosys Drive. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. Please do visit MentorBuddy website and take advantage of all the questions that are available for you, including mock tests, not only for Infosys Drive, but for all other, coming up campus drives as well. Thank you so much. Good night and take care. Yes, Puneet, if you have any question, you can ask me. All right. So I think he doesn't have any question. Not an issue. Thank you so much. Good night and take care.